जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तविंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. Welcome back. We are continuing our discussion on the introduction of Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. And in the last session, we talked about how Srila Prabhupada is describing the importance of Srimad Bhagavad Gita amongst the Vedic literatures. Then he continues his description on the spirit in which Bhagavad Gita should be understood. So, the proper spirit or the way to understand Gita is Bhagavad Gita should be understood or accepted as it is. As it is means as it was given by Lord Shri Krishna, without any unnecessary interpretation. So, when we do accept Bhagavad Gita as it is, then the first thing is to accept Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why? Because all the great sages and acharyas have said this. Number two, Krishna himself has declared that in Bhagavad Gita. And number three was the other scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, the Puranas. They all say the same thing, that Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then Srila Prabhupada talks about who can understand Bhagavad Gita, or for whom the Bhagavad Gita is meant. Yes, in a way it is meant for everybody. Anybody can study it. But not everybody can actually understand it properly, because it's just like an example can be taken like, can anybody apply in the medical school or engineering school? Yes, anybody can apply. But for applying to those schools, you need some basic education. So similarly, for understanding Bhagavad Gita, there is no material qualification is required. The qualification, what is required, is explained here by the Lord himself. That the qualification is one has to be a devotee of the Lord. And being a devotee of the Lord means one has to be in some relationship with the Lord. And the Lord revealed this knowledge to Arjuna because Arjuna was a devotee of the Lord, and he was also having relationship with the Lord in the mood of friendship. So why Arjuna was chosen to speak the message again? Because over the period of time, this message was lost. So that's the reason actually Lord chose Arjuna to speak this message. And this message, as Prabhupada describes, is revealed in disciplic succession. So there are actually two kinds of parampara. First kind of parampara is the parampara of the Rajarshis. Rajarshi means Raja plus Rishi, or a king who is saintly. So saintly king means Rajarshi. So the Lord gives the message to the Rajarshis. So then the Rajarshis can rule properly, and then they can pass on this message to their next generation, as well as when they rule their kingdom nicely, the people in their kingdom, they can become, or they get a chance to become a devotee of the Lord. So that's why Lord Krishna chooses the topmost authority of the region to give this message. So that's why he gave message to Sun God. And then Sun God Vivashwan gave the message to his son Manu, and Manu to Ishwaku. So this disciplic succession is the disciplic succession or parampara of the Rajarshis. But then there is another disciplic succession. So that is the disciplic succession of the sages. So sages have their own disciplic succession. And when Krishna actually spoke this Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, that doesn't mean that Bhagavad Gita didn't exist or the parampara of the sages didn't exist. They existed, but Krishna chose over here to give it to Arjuna and begin the parampara of the Rajarshis. So that's the discussion about why Arjuna was given and his qualification. Then Prabhupada talks about the three types of, or three classes of transcendentalists, Gyanis, Yogis, and Bhaktas. And then Prabhupada explains the different kind of relation one can have with the Lord. So basically there are 5 kind of relationship one can have with the Lord. One is a passive state or Santaras, then active state or Dasya, the friendship rasa or parental or a conjugal lover. So these are the 5 primary rasas, or 5 kind of relationship one can have with the Lord. Then Prabhupada talks about our current situation or our position in this material world. And we are actually having, all the living entities in this world have a unique relationship with the Lord. But right now that relationship is broken. And reviving that relationship is called as Swarup Siddhi. So this is where we stopped last time. So we'll continue further. So how Arjuna accepted Bhagavad Gita. So this is the topic we're going to discuss now. So Bhagavad Gita was spoken, this is actually 10th chapter. Arjuna is relating that how he has accepted whatever, or how he has understood about Krishna in the 10th chapter, verse 12 to 14. So Prabhupada writes, how Arjuna accepted this Bhagavad Gita should be noted. His manner of acceptance is given in the 10th chapter, verse 12 to 14. So let's read the verse. Arjuna vacha param brahma param dhama pariptram paramam bhavan purusham saswatam divyam adidevam ajam vibhum ahastvam rahasya sarve devarshi nardastata asita devalo vyasa swayam chaiva bhavishyame sarvametad ritan manye yanmam vadasi keshava nahi te bhagavan vyaktim vidur deva nadanavaha. Meaning, or the translation, Arjuna said, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Param Brahma, the ultimate abode, the purest, the absolute truth. You are the eternal, transcendental, original person, the unborn, the greatest. All the sages such as Narada, Asita, Devala and Vyasa confirms this truth about you. And now you yourself are declaring it to me. So this was all declared to Arjuna in the previous chapter, in the 9th chapter. The 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita is called as the most confidential knowledge. So Krishna talks about himself in the 9th chapter, and immediately after that Arjuna speaks or presents his realization about Krishna. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, O Lord, can understand your personality. So it is not very easy. It's very important to note here that even great personalities like demigods or devatas, nor the great demons, they can understand the position of the Supreme Lord. After hearing, so now Srila Prabhupada is explaining. After hearing Bhagavad Gita from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna accepted Krishna as Param Brahma, the Supreme Brahman. Every living being is Brahman. Brahman means transcendental, Sachid Ananda. So we have heard this word Sachidananda. So this Sachidananda, one word is consisting of 3 things, Sat, Chit and Anandas. Sat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, and Ananda means full of bliss. So we are also Sachidananda, we are also Brahman, but we are not the Supreme Brahman. So here Prabhupada says, every living being is Brahman, but the Supreme living being or the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Supreme Brahman. Param Dhama means that he is the supreme rest or abode of everything. So he is the final destination of everyone. Pavitram means he is the pure, that he is pure, untainted by material contaminations. So to understand this material contamination is that the pure living being, when we are Sachidananda, we are actually covered by the material contamination. And that contamination is different layers are given to the soul, or different attributes are given to the soul when the soul, which is originally in the spiritual world, when it desires to come to the material world, then a covering is given. A covering of material contamination is given. And that contamination makes us, our consciousness, material. So that covering is not existing on Krishna. Purusham means that he is the supreme enjoyer. Sashvatam means original, Divyam means transcendental, Adi Deva means the supreme personality of Godhead. He is the original God, Adi Deva. Ajam means unborn. So this concept is going to be very clear in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna describes about the soul. That the soul is unborn, soul is eternal. That eternality of the soul is explained in the second chapter, verse 14, 15 onwards. Actually 13 onwards. The Ajam, the unborn, the Vibhum, the greatest. Now one may think that because Krishna was Arjuna's friend, Arjuna was telling him all this by the way of flattery. So Arjuna gave all, or describes Krishna with all these characteristics, and one may think like that. This is his friend, that's why he's doing it. But now it's not true in this case, because Arjuna is saying that even not only I am saying, but all the other sages and all the other devatas, they're also saying the same thing. And the scriptures are also saying the same thing. So Arjuna is just revealing what he has understood by hearing from Krishna. So Arjuna was telling him all this by the way of flattery. But Arjuna, just to dry out this kind of doubt from the minds of the reader of Bhagavad Gita, substantiates these praises in the next verse when he said that Krishna is accepted as Supreme Personality of Godhead not only by himself but by authorities like Narada, Asita, Devala, and Vyasdev. So these are great sages who are expert in the field of spiritual science, and their realization or conclusion is also same as what Arjuna's conclusion is. These are the great personalities who distribute the Vedic knowledge as it is accepted by all the acharyas. So they have a reputation, they are the best in their field. So when all these acharyas claim the same thing or say the same thing, one must accept it. Therefore, Arjuna tells Krishna that he accepts whatever he says to be completely perfect. And that's why the next set of words, which is the last verse we read earlier, was Sarvam etad ritam manye. I accept everything you say to be true. Right? Arjuna also says that the personality of Godhead is very difficult to understand, and that he cannot be even known even by the great demigods. This means that the Lord cannot be known by personalities greater than human beings. So how can a human being understand the Lord Sri Krishna without being his devotee? So it's just like, we want to understand some person, like some well-known person or the president of the country, They want to understand his personal life or details about him. Then the best way to know is the way that person explains us. Otherwise there is no possibility. So similarly over here about Krishna, if we want to understand about Krishna, then we have to understand from the statements which he is giving, not giving our interpretation of what he is saying, because that makes no sense. So by accepting Krishna's position as Krishna is describing, then the Bhagavad Gita will make sense. Now, people comment on Bhagavad Gita, but if they don't accept the words of Krishna, which is a part of the words of Krishna, which is in Bhagavad Gita, like, Krishna talking about himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then it doesn't make sense, because part of the information they are giving through Bhagavad Gita, they are trying to just interpret it. You have to accept it completely. So then Prabhupada talks about how should we take up Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita should be taken up in the spirit of devotion, in the mood of devotion. So in the mood of devotion means you accept the statements of the speaker as it is. It's not that, this part of the Gita I like, so I will accept it. The other part of the Gita I don't like. Like Prabhupada gives a very nice example of a farmer who had a chicken. And he said the front part of the chicken is bad because it's eating food. I have to spend money on that. So that's not good. But the back side of the chicken, which is laying eggs, is good. So he said, okay, I'll just chop off the head. So when they chop off the head, what happens? The chicken dies. But you have to accept the chicken as it is, So similarly, here we accept the word of Krishna as it is in the mood of devotion. And then if we accept that in the mode of devotion, the result is whatever, realization Arjuna had, we will get the same realization. Because Krishna is absolute. Krishna and his name, his words, his pastimes, all these things are absolute, means the same as Krishna. His Dhamma, all these things are actually absolute. One should not think that he is equal to, nor should he think that Krishna is an ordinary personality or even a very great personality. Right? Or you should not think that, that Krishna is, some historical personality. Yeah, he has given this message, whatever he has given is good. But if we accept that way, then we only can approach Krishna to that extent. We will not be able to get the full benefit or the full mercy of Krishna. Lord Shri Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So according to the statements of Bhagavad Gita or the statements of Arjuna, the person who is trying to understand the Bhagavad Gita, we should at least theoretically accept Shri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And with that submissive spirit, we can understand the Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita or any other Vedic literature, has to be accepted in the mood of submission. Means it has to be whatever statements are given, it may not fit our logic. Right? It may not fit our current set of, our current, fit our logic in the way we may not understand. We may understand part of it, or we may understand it, but we may not be able to digest few things. But if we have a tendency, okay, right now I don't understand it, but if I read more, probably I'll understand it better. So if we study in that mood, then eventually we'll understand. And the spiritual process of understanding is a little different than the normal way of understanding. Normally we read and we think through our logic and try to understand. The spiritual way of learning is through the process of mercy. We show our endeavor to understand, but that is considered as a jnana or a theoretical knowledge. But that becomes vijnana by practice as well as by the mercy. The most important part is the mercy of the Lord. Unless the mercy of the Lord is not there, then the covering of the Maya, which we read earlier, that the living entity is given a covering, that covering is not removed. The cloud is not removed. So when the cloud is not removed, we cannot see the sun. So in order to see the sun or Krishna himself, the cloud which is between us and Krishna has to be removed. And that is only done by Krishna. As he sees our sincerity, he gradually removes the cloud and he presents himself. Okay, you can see me in this way. So Prabhupada says, unless one reads Bhagavad Gita in a submissive spirit, it is very difficult to understand Bhagavad Gita because it is a great mystery. So this is what I was talking about. It's a great mystery. The great mystery is that cloud that needs to be removed by Krishna himself. And that happens by his mercy. That's why, in the beginning of the class or beginning of our study, we go through the Mangalacharan prayers. That's where we are showing our submission to our predecessor acharyas and, all the acharyas and all the Vaishnavas. And we take mercy of all those devotees, and then we also take mercy of Krishna. and then we study in that mood, then Krishna will remove the covering, and then we can really very simply and very easily understand. So this is all is discussed. We discussed above, and now what is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita? So just what is Bhagavad Gita? The purpose of Bhagavad Gita is to deliver the mankind from the nescience of material existence. So, as we discussed earlier, we are actually spiritual being, right? We are not material being having spiritual experience, but we are spiritual being having material experience. So originally we are spirit soul, and now that spirit soul is having material experience, which is been given to the spirit soul by Maya, which is also an energy of Krishna. So a layer of ignorance is given. So what is that ignorance? That ignorance is nothing but forgetfulness of Krishna. And because of that covering, what happens is every man is in difficulty in so many ways. As Arjuna was in difficulty in having to fight the battle of Kurukshetra. So this battle of Kurukshetra happened between, it's a fratricidal war happening between two families, right? Actually one family, cousin brothers. And the reason for, before the fight began, Arjuna was, he didn't want to fight because he saw that the other side with whom he is fighting is their relatives, and his grandfather, his teacher, his brothers, cousin brothers, his gurus, all of them were on the other side. So he didn't want to fight. So he was perplexed by seeing his relatives on the battlefield, because he knew that at the end of this battle, he will not be able to see many of the personalities on the other side. So that completely baffled him. So then what happened? Then Arjuna surrendered to Krishna. So the whole chapter 1 is nothing but Arjuna presents his doubts. He gives 5 reasons why he should not fight. And he presents his doubt, and he said that Krishna, I am not going to fight till all my doubts are clear. Till that point, Krishna actually doesn't speak. So as soon as Arjuna submits or surrenders, then Krishna starts speaking Bhagavad Gita in chapter 2. So Arjuna surrendered to Krishna, and consequently this Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Not only Arjuna, but every one of us is full of anxiety because of the material existence. So right now, we all know that because of this corona situation, so much anxiety we all are going through, right? So many difficulties. All part of the world is going through so much difficulties. Our very existence is in the atmosphere of non-existence. Now this is a very loaded statement, and this will be clear more as we study Bhagavad Gita. So the world in which we are, the material world, is a temporary existence. So that's why sometimes the word non-existent is used. But everything is temporary condition. Krishna uses or defines this world in which we are living as Dukhalayam and Ashashvatam. So Dukhalaya means it's a place of misery, and Ashashvatam means it's temporary. Actually, we are not meant to be threatened by the non-existence. So our position, because we are spiritual beings having material experience, we are actually spiritual beings who is having a material experience which is temporary. But we think we ourselves are material. So meaning, our normal understanding is at the end of the life, we have so much anxiety, like we don't know what is going to happen to after death. So that non-existent part is the death, But Gita says, or Bhagavad Gita explains that no, we are actually spiritual, we are in a journey. So right now we are having a human body, and then, depending on our karma, we will get the next body. So Bhagavad Gita is nothing but understanding all these aspects, and we are going to study them in details. Right? our existence is eternal. So Prabhupada means over here that we are soul and we are eternal. But somehow or other we are put into asat. Asat means temporary. So asat refers to that which does not exist, or in a way it exists but exists for a short period of time. So that is asat. It is not eternal. Let's put it in that way. The material world is not eternal. And the next discussion is about Brahma Jigyasa. So out of so many human beings, so like this, actually human beings are suffering from so many issues. The more we understand, go into deep, we'll see that every person, from however rich, powerful the person may be, to the most fallen or the most downtrodden person, every person is suffering. And there are 4 sufferings which Krishna says in Gita, that nobody wants it and everybody has no option but has to go through it. And those 4 sufferings are Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. Janma means birth, Mrityu means death, Jara means old age, Vyadhi means diseases. So Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Doshanu, Anudarshanam. So these are the reasons of suffering. But there are many other sufferings. So these are the 4 main, and there are 3 more, Tapatraya. So misery is caused by my own body and mind, misery is caused by other living entities. Like the corona is another living entity, or a mosquito is another living entity, or some relatives are causing us trouble, they are other living entities. So misery is caused by my own body and mind, means a body ache, headache, mental disease. So many kind of diseases are there. So misery is caused by my own body and mind, misery is caused by other living entities. And the third one is misery is caused by the superior beings or the devatas, like earthquakes or tornadoes and heavy rain. So those kind of sufferings, there is constant suffering, one after other. We fix one, the other one is right on the corner. So when we keep on suffering like that, so Prabhupada says over here, out of so many human beings who are suffering, there are a few who are actually inquiring about their position as to what they are, why are they put into this awkward position, and so on. So by hearing this class, you should understand that you are looking for those answers. So not all people are even accepting that they are suffering. In fact, you can take a survey and ask people that, are you suffering? Maybe at this point of time, because the entire world is suffering, they may say yes, people may agree with it. But generally when things are going good, people won't agree with the statement that they are suffering, because they don't have knowledge to understand that they are suffering. They accept it as a part of life. They accept it as normal. Okay, my parents have suffered, my relatives have suffered, my friends are suffering, so I am also suffering. So what is a big deal about it? That's the way people think. But, if you deeply think and you come to a point that, okay, no, I am really suffering, I don't know, I want to get out of this suffering. Right? Most of the people even don't know that they can get out of the suffering. But when they inquire like that, actually, they think about it, then Krishna makes an arrangement. They somehow or other, Krishna will send a devotee, or somehow or other he'll connect you with the devotee, and then the devotee will give the message. So unless one is awakened to this position of questioning of his suffering, unless he realizes that he doesn't want suffering but rather wants to make a solution to all the suffering, then one is not to be considered as a perfect human being. So in human form of life also, only this is possibility. A dog cannot inquire about this. A cat or the bird or a tree, these are also living beings. Ant, but they cannot ask these questions. They don't have sufficient intelligence to ask this question. They can only think about their food. Ahara, nidra, bhai, maithunam cha. In scriptures it is said that this ahara means eating, nidra, sleeping. Ahara nidra, bhay, fear or defense. Maithunam cha means procreation. Samanyam etat pasubhi naranam. So this is common between human beings and animals. So then what is the difference between human beings and animals? Dharmo hi teshat adhiko vishesho. Dharme nahi naha pasubhi samana. So inquiries about these sufferings or the absolute truth or about God, this is the only difference, or this is the only advantage of human form of life over the animal form of life. But if the human beings also use their intelligence for this ahara nidra bhay maithunam cha, then they can be considered as a two-legged animal. This is how the scripture describes. So Prabhupada is saying, if one does not inquire, then one is not considered a perfect human being. Humanity begins with this sort of inquiries, is awakened in one's mind. In Brahma Sutra, this inquiry is called as Brahma Jigyasa or Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Right? So Brahma Sutra or Vedanta Sutra, it begins with this Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Now it is very weird that scriptures begin like therefore. Athato means therefore. Therefore Brahma Jigyasa means therefore one must inquire. So this is the literal translation of therefore one must inquire. This is how this Brahma Sutra begins. So Brahma Sutra assumes that a person has not understood that I have suffered a lot in my life and I want a solution to that. So the first statement of Brahma Sutra or Vedanta Sutra is Athato Brahma Jigyasa, means every activity of the human being is to be considered as a failure unless he inquires about the nature of the Absolute. Therefore, those who begin to question why they are suffering or where they came from, where they shall go after death, are proper student for understanding Bhagavad Gita. So this is what we are going to get from Bhagavad Gita. That why are we suffering? Where do we came from? Actually, we didn't choose in which family we should take birth, or we don't choose what time we are going to leave this body, or where we are going to live. We don't know what time, what date. We have no idea, and that on top of it, we have no idea where are we going to go in the next body. Right? So who controls all these things? So somebody who has questions this kind of things, or who has inquiry about this kind of things, are actually proper students of Bhagavad Gita. Right? Now, some of you might not have come or might not be reading Bhagavad Gita because of this reason. But now, at least by reading the introduction, Prabhupada is telling us, okay, you should start thinking in that direction. Right? The sincere student should also have a firm respect for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless we have respect for the teacher, we won't learn. So Krishna is a teacher over here, and we must have a deep respect for him. And the basic respect for him would be like, accepting his statements. Such a student was Arjuna. So he is such a great student, and with Arjuna's understanding or Arjuna's way of explaining the realization of Arjuna which actually help us to understand about Krishna. And because Arjuna asked all these questions in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is answering, which actually covers all the subject matters which we want to understand from Bhagavad Gita, or whatever question you have or we have. Krishna actually says in 7th chapter, 2nd verse in Bhagavad Gita that I'm going to explain you this phenomenal and numinous, or I'm going to give you this phenomenal and numinous knowledge. Having understood this knowledge, both this knowledge, then there is nothing more to be known. So everything is there in Bhagavad Gita. And that's what Krishna wants us to learn. And Krishna is actually using Arjuna as his disciple. But Arjuna, his position is he is not a normal human being like us. He is a Nar Narayan. He is a Nara, of Nar Narayan Rishi. So he is transcendental. So he is using Arjuna to give this message to us. So with this, understanding the purpose of Bhagavad Gita, we'll stop here and we'll continue in the next session. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Gaur Premanande Haribol.